How are you this fine Thursday morning? It's storming a little outside. We've got a winter weather advisory. But it's important to remember that the storm cannot consume you if you're the storm. There we go. Get a little water in there. Alright, so here we are. Not a lot going on that's really relevant to anything. Yeah, there we go. Of course, here I am, not really quite firing on all cylinders yet. Haven't had that first cup of tea in, you know what I mean? By the way, sorry about the video getting out late again yesterday. Ended up getting the video to bake down and had to get a friend to a dentist appointment because they were knocking her out. It took a little longer than expected, but at least I had time to delve into one of my astrology books and start taking notes. Learned quite a lot. Also had time to delve into a book on runes, which is more historical than anything. This one doesn't cover magic or anything like that. And it's more of a textbook, but in 10 pages. There was a lot to unpack, and there was a lot that I learned, like I said, just in 10 pages. Very, very good book. You know what, hang on, I'll grab it and I'll show it to you. It's a really good one. And thanks to Moots, this got added to my library. But this is this book runs about like 35 bucks. It's a really good one. If you're interested in the runes, I do recommend picking it up. Like I said, only 10 pages in, and already, I'll show you the interior of the book here. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff you can expect to find in there. More about historical and archaeological finds than anything. So if that's something that you're interested in looking at, yeah, definitely give it a try. It's a textbook, but first one I've owned since college, I think. Anyway, so we've got our reading here, which looks like a typical reading, the type I started doing long ago. Let's get into it, shall we? Can I get this knocked out? That way I can get it posted for you, and you can get to watching it. Alright, here we go. So, beginning here, who are we? Vegvisir. And this, I've called it the Viking compass before. It's really the Wayfinder. Those who wore this particular symbol, which is right there. Those who wore that particular symbol, whether it was on a pendant around their neck, or tattooed on them, or even just painted on a shield, were thought to never lose their way. And that's what you're doing today. You're helping someone else find their way. And it's always the how that's most important. Skadi. Scotty and her wolves, goddess of the hunt, skiing through the mountains. A Jotun herself, and her story is interesting because what she thought she was getting, she didn't. She thought she was getting Balder. She ended up with Norther instead, and neither could stand the other's place of residence. So they compromised. Now, compromise is important, but you should not be giving too much ground. Compromise does not look like this, nor does it look like this. In fact, it looks like this. Get it? Very important thing to remember today. Emulating nature, we're looking at the giraffe. So this is where your perspective needs to shift a little. Hopefully by now you've done your due diligence in letting go of all the fear and negativity, all the stuff that's holding you back. Because if you haven't, then you're gonna have a little bit of a harder time than usual. And right now, we're in a waning gibbous phase, which means we're starting to wind down into that next new moon. This was a pretty powerful full moon, ladies and gentlemen. That full moon in Cancer was definitely about letting go and releasing your fear, letting it dissolve. I hope you've been able to do that. If not, now's a good time to get on that. Get on it, doggone it. Alright, so tarot, we've got Queen of Fire. Got a 7 of Fire. Obviously wands, and a 4 of earth or pentacles. Let's start with her. Look at how confident she is. She's also got that air about her of, I will burn away any kind of bullshit you bring to me. To me, she does not look like she's there by accident. And neither are you, for that matter. But this is, this particular card, this is that creative energy. And this is the passion to put it into practice. Then we've got that 7 of Wands. This is, if I'm not mistaken, it's just because I don't work a lot with this deck, so I am kind of looking it up here just to make sure. Here we go. So the 7 is all about giving your personal best. This is where you have to shine today. You absolutely must. You have to burn a little brighter than usual. Remember when I said the storm can't consume you if you are the storm. This is you embodying that storm. Today is not about conformity. It's not about bowing to someone else's will. This is about putting your creative will out there. Because ultimately, you're being asked to guide others. When you're being asked to guide others, how do you expect to guide others when you're constantly following the crowd? You can't do it. It's impossible. And it's going to hurt your chances in the end. So this is serving as a warning as much as anything else. Now, with that being said, this has to come into play. You have to have a very solid, stable foundation. Something very tangible. This, I could try to set this whole thing up in midair, but is that really going to work? I don't think it will. So remember to ground yourself and have a solid foundation from which you can launch, because you'll launch your absolute best that way. Remember, you want your absolute best. You want to lead rather than follow. And this is kind of small picture of stuff, so kind of wondering what that giraffe is bringing us here. Me Talks, repairing your mind, body, and spirit. Skywriting. And Woodwives. So, let's talk for a moment about this. This card's resonating really hard with me right now, and I'll tell you exactly why. I recently, rather than using essential oils as like aromatherapy or in place of like incense or something like that, I took it upon myself to draw a bath, dump a couple cups of Epsom salt in there, several drops of tea tree oil, several drops of peppermint oil, mix it all really well with my foot, and then sink down into it and soak for about maybe an hour. Now that by itself has some serious detoxing ability. Both nights I did it, I stepped out of the bathtub feeling like $1,000,000. Got some of the best night's sleep I've ever gotten. And, of course, still feeling great right now. Being just in that water, closing my eyes and just being right there in that moment. Let me tell you, it was like being in a tub of liquid awesome. And it had so many effects on my mental state, my spiritual state, and even my physical state. I got some of the best sleep ever, even though it might have been only a few hours. Still, best ever. So definitely, I would recommend something like that. Highly. Give it a try if you haven't. Sounds like hippie stuff, but let me tell you. Even if you just walk away from it a little happier, where's the problem, right? Can't hurt you. Now with the skywriting card, I'm going to show you something here in a minute that I'll bet we get at least one of them. But it is written in the sky that you have a destiny to fulfill. And I want you to look very closely. You'll see some runes in there. I see manas, I see Avas, I see Ansus, I see, what else is in here? Rider-Waite and Dagas. I see both of them, or all of them. And it's interesting how they put the runes out there, because that's where we're going to in just a minute. But you do have a destiny to fulfill. This is not set fate. But remember, all this week, with the exception of maybe Tuesday, we've had the 9 Worlds card come up. We've had it come up a lot lately. And what you do will affect someone else. And I've said before, It might be just little things, or things you would consider trivial. They may mean the world to someone else. That's why. And we have these woodwives with adaptability. Part of yesterday's message was remain flexible, remain resilient, like the yew tree. Right? And you'll become far more useful than you ever imagined. Based on the reading so far, you're the person in demand. So why not get with it? So for the runes, we have manas. We have Othala. Okay, there we go. And we have Kanas. Okay, so when I said it wouldn't surprise me if one of these runes from the skywriting card popped up, here it is, right there. Humanity. Humanity and the ability to help them move forward. You've got enough insight into whatever it is you're doing today to make that happen. Really look back on your ancestry, no matter what it is. If you're of Celtic ancestry, look into it. Trust your predecessors. Your situation is going to call for you to draw on their experience and see what they did right. You can fill in the gaps. You've got what it takes because you're enlightened enough to do it. But you have to be enlightened enough to be able to guide someone else. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a pretty big reading. Just remember to keep your head about you. Really let that creative energy come out. Zoom out. See a much bigger picture. Be ready to guide others. Be ready to compromise where necessary. Some people you may have to have a little patience with them. But get yourself into that position. Do that meditation. Do that tub soak if that's what works for you. Whatever works for you to get yourself in the right frame of mind, do it. Remember, this is Scotty's message to you in the Woodwives card, to be flexible. Look to your predecessors. Look to those who just, doesn't necessarily have to be your ancestry, but you are being guided. Look toward that guidance, whether it's your predecessors at work, your predecessors at play, the people who came before you obviously got some things right, otherwise you would not be where you are with them. And then be ready to take the lead today. This reminds me of it's either Starseed Oracle or Work Your Light Oracle, where it says, forge your own path, be the leader you wish you had. Today's that day. You need to be the leader you wish you had. Best way I can put it is, be a little bit of a show-off today. Time to put what you know on display and make it clear to all those around you that you know what you're doing. And be ready to receive input from others, whether it's those who came before you or questions from those who just don't quite understand just yet. In any case, thank you so much for joining me. I love you all. Let's do this again tomorrow for the weekend reading. I can't believe another weekend's already upon us. That is bonkers to me. It's bonkers. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, family, neighbors, tribe, across this nation, around the world. Always remember to take care of yourselves and each other. Always do what lights you up. And as always, shine on.